Part 13. Point drank it all in. 6 hostiles. 3 prone, 3 up. Point brought his rifle scope up to his eye and watched the replay. The trio of guards at the door, the creatures woven into the fuselage above, probably with backup. What were they guarding? This wasn't like any behavior he'd seen before in 11 cleanup operations. Whatever was inside was important to them. Music, brassy and pulsing, throbbed from within. Something screeching, something crooning. Point brought his rifle to position, its hydraulic support softly hissing. An answering hiss came from above. He didn't take the time to look up and glimpse the creamy jaws, already open to strike. He fired, blindly, pulse fire sending it careening. The protective gear caught most of the acid. He hustled into the hallway junction, pulse fire ricocheting off the ceiling fuselage, catching a second hostile up across the abdomen and chest, spilling it into the next burst of fire, levelled at the nursery sentries. An alien spun and splashed against the door. Another leaped into point-blank range and took the explosive shells in the face. A third skittered up onto the walls, lunging out of range as the metal sparked behind it. The other remained on the ceiling. Point's fire rippled vertically, keeping it pinned until it was shattered by the barrage. The next volley caught the wall climber, creasing its ribs, a torrent of gold corrosive splintering the chitin. The wounded monster rolled impossibly up the wall, prehensile tail coiled, and plunged. Point reared back, slamming the monster against the steaming metal even as it hit him. But it held, arms locked over his chest. Already he could feel its tail lash towards his vitals. A rope of saliva slid past his shoulder. Its jaws were agape, the inner chrome teeth grasping. Point bellowed and tipped his rifle up into it, blistering his own face as the creature's maw exploded. Fire flowed down his back, and then he was free. The other alien was not on him, yet, coiled to spring once its ruined brother was clear. Point rolled and fired as the being hung in mid-air, tipping his arm and rifle over his head as the fountain of ochre fluid splashed over him. The acid steamed into his flesh, his howl drowning out the music and infant cries from the nursery. "Point!" ears bellowed. Leader stepped up his already frantic pace at Ear's scream. "Point!" In his haste, he disregarded the warning flash on his view screen, his collision course with Mox imminent. The ceiling above him exploded, slamming him to the floor. Slabs of steel and shards of metal rained down as the core of the explosion spent itself overhead. Leader crawled forward as another bolt ripped into the adjacent wall, detonating into the parallel corridor. He stood to face the piston-driven madman who stepped out of the ruins. Shitkicker loomed, swollen with bile and rage, the lunatic puppeteer strapped into his monster puppet. Kicker stormed ahead, fixed on some unknowable goal, oblivious to the soldier standing before him. Leader fought the fear and awe that washed over him. Mox was just a grunt, like him, and his orders were to take him down. The exoskeletal sheath rendered the warrior within almost invulnerable to Leader's available firepower. He would have to get inside. Kicker's stride was enormous. The next step would put him out of reach. Leader grabbed the reinforced leg struts and found a handhold above the knee. As he pulled himself up, Kicker felt the weight, adjusted his balance accordingly, and then slammed through the wall. The impact nearly tore Leader away from the exoskeleton. As the leg lifted for the next step, Leader used the motion to move onto firmer purchase at the hip, swinging up and around to the ribbed armor plating on Shitkicker's back. As the new wall was breached, the ceiling above it suddenly bristled with life. The hostiles were here, moving en masse. Rat awoke with a start. Thunder pounded overhead. Rat painfully craned her head. Her shoulder hurt terribly. She had twisted it in the fall. And her face, her chest. "Rat, do you read me?" Ears choked. Despite her painful stupor, she could hear his torment. It roused her further. "Christ, Rat, get out of there! It's all going to be coming down on you! Get out!" She struggled to raise herself up. As she leaned her weight forward, the cushion of garbage beneath her responded. Paper, plastic, cardboard, and debris slowly gave at first. Then, in terrifying lurches, Rat tried to lie back, to stop the sickening motion. But it was too late. The displaced waist parted, plunging Rat into its suffocating mass. Above, the thunder raged closer.